education there is a entrance exam called NATA, which is conducted by the central government. Okay. NEET JEE equivalent exam. So அந்த exam எழுதினா மட்டும்தான் நீங்க வந்து architecture educationல நீங்க join பண்ண முடியும். Even though if you are in a private university or in a government affiliated university, you have to go through this exam called NATA. Okay. NATA exam la enna paper அப்படினாக்க basically they will try to test the aptitude of the student. அந்த ஸ்டூடெண்ட்க்கு ஆர்க்கிடெக்சர்ல ஒரு இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் இருக்குதா, நேச்சுரல் ஸ்கில்ஸ் இருக்குதா, அவங்க வந்து அந்த இன்டென்ஸான ஆர்க்கிடெக்சர் ப்ரோக்ராம் வந்து ஒரு 5 இயர் ப்ரோக்ராம் அப்படிங்கிறது எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியும் இல்லையா? அந்த 5 இயர் ப்ரோக்ராமுக்கு வந்து அவங்க வந்து அவங்களால அதை கம்ப்ளீட் பண்ண முடியுமா, சக்ஸஸ்ஃபுல்லாக கோர்ஸ் கம்ப்ளீட் பண்ண முடியுமா அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு ஆப்டிடியூட் டெஸ்ட் தான் நாங்கள். ஓகே, இது வந்து 200 மார்க்ஸ்க்கு கண்டக்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க. அதில் யூ ஹேவ் டு ஸ்கோர் மினிமம் 70 மார்க்ஸ் ஃபார் passing the exam. So 70 marks இருந்ததுனாக்க you can apply to any college throughout India depending on the state allocations, all that is there. Okay, so what you have to do is negative mark கிடையாது. So no negative marking. Basically the questions will be based on your general knowledge, logical skills, analytical skills and drawing related skills. இப்போ ப்ரொபோஷன் நீங்கள் எல்லாமே ஆர்டிஸ்ட் உங்களுக்கு தெரியும், ப்ரொபோஷன் ரொம்ப முக்கியம், ஸ்கேல் ரொம்ப முக்கியம், கலர் தியரி ரொம்ப முக்கியம். ஓகே, ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி ஃபண்டமெண்டலாக டு தே ஹேவ் அ நாலேஜ் ஆன் தீஸ் ஆஸ்பெக்ட்ஸ். ஸோ இதுதான் வந்து ஆர்கிடெக்சரில் வந்து இனிஷியலி தி பர்சன் ஷுட் பி a little bit oriented towards art. கொஞ்சம் ஒரு கிரியேட்டிவ் மைண்ட் செட் இருக்கும். அந்த கிரியேட்டிவ் மைண்ட் செட்டை யூ ஹேவ் டு கன்வெர்ட் தட் இன்டு a டெக்னிக்கல் பார்ட். ஆர்ட்ல வந்து யூ ஹேவ் த ஃப்ரீடம் ஆஃப் taking up a media and then representing that in a sheet or any form as we have discussed for the past 2 days. You have a lot of freedom in that. But architecture varumbodhu there is one more component which comes into that. That is the structural component. A building cannot stand if it is not strong enough to hold itself. So avanga vandu they have to become more competent in understanding the techniques of building. ஸோ அப்போ தான் வந்து அவங்க வந்து ஒரு புதுசாக ஒரு கிரியேட்டிவ் தாட்டோட ஒரு பில்டிங் கன்சீவ் பண்ணி அதை வந்து they have to convert that into a building. ஓகே, ஸோ அந்த தாட் ப்ராசஸ்க்காக தான் அவங்களுக்கு வந்து லாஜிக்கல் ஸ்கில்ஸ் இருக்குதா, அனாலிட்டிக்கல் ஸ்கில்ஸ் இருக்குதா, கிரியேட்டிவ் தாட் ப்ராசஸ் இருக்குதா, ஆப்டிடியூட் இருக்குதா அப்படிங்கிற 4 கீ காம்பனன்ட்ஸில் நாட்டா எக்ஸாம்ஸ் will be conducted. இதில் வந்து 2 பார்ட்ஸ் இருக்குது. One will have the MCQs அப்படின்றது இருக்குது. They will also have a drawing part in that. So what you have to do is, you have to know when you find somebody who is good in the aptitude of architecture, you can always tell them to train themselves in all these skills so that they can become a successful architect. Art and architecture coexist. Only if you have a creative bent of mind, you can start getting into architecture also. Not everybody will become a pure artist into a field, but then they can also become an architect in the particular field or a specialty. So once you have that technical and analytical skill, you have to train yourself into that, and then you can convert your dreams into realistic beliefs. Okay, so that's why like NEET or like JEE, we also conduct this NATA exam. Okay, so this is conducted for 2 sessions in every year. There will be different timelines which will be given, and you can train for that, and then you can write the exam. We, as part of the architecture community, we also conduct NATA training in our institution also. Okay, institutions are allowed to conduct NATA training for the students who are willing to join architecture also. So if you have any students who you think they will be capable of getting into architecture, who has that mindset, who can get into technical part of the art also, you can refer them to Megas so that they can come and train themselves before they get into the exam. Exam will be a little bit difficult only because, as you know, art is a very vast field. Okay, so as we said, you need to know the color theory, color fundamentals you have to know. We are talking about expression, like what we saw in this workshop. You have to be equally good in techniques as well as in a creative mind. Okay, So அந்த ரெண்டையும் கம்பைன் பண்ற அளவுக்கு they should have the capacity to do real hard work, and they should have the capacity to have aptitude in getting into architecture. So that's why if you have any questions related to NATA, you can ask me. But this is the broad fundamentals of NATA exam, which is being conducted by the Council of Architecture, which is located at New Delhi. Each and every college is associated with Council of Architecture, and each and every student, after finishing architecture, will get into the will get a COA number, Council of Architecture number, which will, then only they become a registered practitioner of architecture. So it's a highly technically connected and very much registered in a proper sequence. So instead of being an artist, if they have a mind, which they can think about buildings and talk about techniques and things like that, they can always get into building. Building is a very interesting field, and design in building is a very, very interesting part of it. They can become consultants, they can work with government agencies, they can get into private organizations. So many options are also there. Multinational corporations are also there. The huge buildings what we see are designed by architects. The most simplest and sustainable buildings what we see is also designed by architects. We at Muggins, focus on sustainability and environmental architecture. We have a PG course also in environmental architecture, and we are also getting into urban design, which is planning of cities. Yesterday in the exhibition you would have seen, we have done a lot of works on, from basic color to basic shapes, then getting into additive forms, and then we are going to design separate buildings, and then we have also looked at, designing of cities. So that is our core area of, development in architecture, and hence, if you feel that any of the students are interested in pursuing this, you can always refer them to us, and then we will train them to write the NATA exam and then get into architecture. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can ask me.
Sir, what are the fees structure?
Engola fee structure, sir. This is affiliated to Anna University, sir. So basically, the fee structure is followed from Anna University. So time and again, when Anna University declares, that will be mostly followed.
Campus interview.
Campus interview, yes, we do, because in the 4th year they go for an internship program. They go to private offices or wherever office they would like to work. They go for a 6-month training. 1 semester is dedicated for that itself. So once they do that training, they will know what is their potential and what is their area of interest. It could be residential building, it could be office building, it could be institutional building, it could be interiors, or it could be any other. There are multiple fields in architecture. They will understand which area they want to work. So they mostly get into their own offices, or they go somewhere also. PG is also an option.
So when is the entrance exam?
It's happening right now in March and onward in June. You can go to the NATA website, you can get all the details from there. You can apply through that also. Yeah, registration, everything is online only.
How many attempts can be done for NATA?
2 attempts.
The 200 marks segregation for
Logical, analytical, aptitude and drawing.
the mark segregation.
Mark segregation, that will be basically 30, 40 and 30%, and then drawing will be there. So it will keep on changing. It cannot be the same for all the question papers. It will not be structured very rigidly, but then it will vary within all the general knowledge, analytical, logical reasoning.
So can you please explain the hidden meaning behind the logo of yours?
So that is fine if you have.
That is what we do, ma'am. We are
I could understand A is for architecture.
art
Yes.
and technology. Very simple. Art is the creative mindset which you need to have to become an artist. But then we don't start with art. We have to integrate technology if you have to build a building. If you have to make it realistic, art can be made in a paper or a drawing. But then if you need to build a building, you need to get into technology to understand how to make a building stand. Because we are going to accommodate humans inside. So safety is a major criteria when you are talking about buildings. I have to build a building which will hold 1,000 people and still stay strong for 100 years at least. So technology is very important, and creative mindset only gives you new forms in your buildings. So unless you don't, otherwise all the buildings are going to look the same. It's not interesting. As artists, we want every sketch and every drawing to be different. New colors, new technologies. So you're trying to integrate both into art. Hope I answered your question.
Thank you, sir.